A very good morning and welcome all of you to the daily news analysis for 17th of January 2025. So guys, in today's news analysis, we are going to see these important news articles. Just a minute. So everything is fine. Now, 50,000 physicians to be trained to eradicate cervical cancer through HPV vaccination. So what is going to be the strategy? This is going to be important for us. GS mains paper 3. This is going to cater to. 8th pay commission for government employees approved by cabinet. 8th pay commission, every 10 years a commission is appointed. Let me just lower the volume of the system, monitoring system from here. Just a second. Okay, yeah. So ISRO docks SpaDeX satellites in the space. So we have been following this news article. ISRO talking about, the chaser and the target. What is the nomenclature used for it? This is going to be important, as I have told you regarding Chandrayaan also, rover and lander. This kind of a nomenclature, this kind of phraseology that is used for these type of missions that has been asked in the past also. Now, economy, the impact of rupee weakening. Conceptual question, as I always say that whenever some concept related to economy comes up, you need to mark that up, right? Low voice. You can increase the voice from your side if there is a low voice issue. Let me just check once. I would request the team to increase the voice from the OBS. Okay, so this is there. Now, Congress moved Supreme Court to defend Places of Worship Act. What is this Places of Worship Act 1991? This is also important. Government launches app to promote battlefield tourism. So this is a new thing to promote tourism. Wherever the wars have happened in India, those locations can be now visited through the you can book for them through the application that has been launched by Ministry of Defense. Now, Dalai Lama Charitable Trust gets the FCRA node. FCRA approval is required for any international NGO, any international organization to get the foreign funding, right? If anybody has got any doubt, your voice is low. They are increasing the voice. I hope it has been increased now. Is it any better now? Okay, everything is good. Now, let's not get deviated from the path. Indian Medical Association has partnered with which organization? Federation of Obstetric and Gynecological Societies of India, FOGC. Federation of Obstetric and Gynecological Societies of India. Why gynecological? Because cervical cancer is the instances of cervical cancer are found more in women. Okay, so that is why a 1 year training program to train 50,000 physicians to eradicate cervical cancer has been launched. Which vaccine is going to be used? HPV vaccine. We are going to cover more about HPV vaccine because whenever such kind of a step is taken for the eradication of any disease, the vaccine being used is of interest to the UPSC, right? Okay, fine. Now, the collaboration focuses on widespread vaccination and enhancing physician training. So, physician training is one of the contours. HPV vaccine is another factual part of it. Cervical cancer continues to. Why the government has taken this step? It continues to pose a significant health challenge in India, with the country accounting for around 77,348 deaths annually. Are we supposed to mug up this data? If possible, just mug up it in this manner that around 70,000 deaths are happening. Cervical cancer because of cervical cancer alone. 80,000 you can write. About the initiative. What is going to happen in the initiative? A 1 year training program has been introduced aimed at educating over 50,000 Indian Medical Association physicians from tier 2, because the doctors in tier 1 cities like Delhi, Bengaluru, Chennai, Mumbai, they are well trained, they are well aware because of the specialization, because of their exposure, career path, etc. But the doctors in tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 cities, the remote areas of India, there the physicians are not as well equipped or well trained about it. So target cities are going to be tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. So quickly, when you are making notes, T2, T3, T4, this is what you have to write. Specialized training for physicians from FODC experts, the federation name that we have just come across, Federation for Obstetrics and Gynecological Society of India. Okay, equipping them with the necessary knowledge and skill to combat cervical cancer effectively. And it is supported by Cancer Foundation of India and American Cancer Society. American Cancer Society is also supporting this. Underscores what this initiative is underlining. It underlines the role of general physicians, the basic MBBS doctors we are talking about, right? Gynecologists and pediatricians in promoting HPV vaccination and addressing vaccination hesitancy. Many people are hesitant that, many women are hesitant that they don't want to go for the vaccination. So, vaccination hesitancy, especially in countries like India, is very deep etched, is very deeply, set in the minds of the people. So that needs to be addressed by the doctor. All the rumors surrounding HPV vaccination, that kind of a thing. Aligned with the government's vision of cervical cancer Mukt Bharat. Which mission is it catering to? Cervical cancer Mukt Bharat. Cervical cancer Mukt Bharat. Got it? Now today I do not have the remote. Remote will be provided in a day or two, that for flipping through the PPTs. So I'm using the arrow part. Cervical cancer, a preventable tragedy. Yes, cervical cancer is on its way to be eliminated globally. Okay, global elimination. Another facet of it you need to memorize. When it is going to be eradicated globally, imagine like a huge country like India having, even though 78,000, around 78,000 cases, nonetheless, don't you think we have come a long way? A country of 130, 40 crore people having just 78,000, even though this is a huge number in itself, when it is going to be eliminated globally, 78,000 is a big number, right? Key strategy to eliminate: to vaccinate 90% young girls 9 to 14 years against HPV to prevent cervical in their adulthood. Why gynecologists? Because this disease, cervical cancer, affects mainly the women. Okay, so 90%, the target is to vaccinate 90% young girls in the age group of 9 to 14 years. HPV vaccine has been proven to be effective, highly effective in preventing infections that are the primary cause of cervical cancer. Now, what is cervical cancer? It develops in the women's cervix, the entrance to the uterus from the vagina. Okay, that is why the image of cervix was shown in the first slide of this topic. You can have a look over here again. Cervix, it affects that part, right? Even though it's a private part, but since we are studying, we need to cover everything. Now, almost all cervical cancer cases, 99%, are linked to infection with high risk human papilloma virus, HPV. Human papilloma virus. Because of this virus, 99% of the cervical cases happen. Although most infections with HPV resolve spontaneously and cause no symptoms, but persistent infection can cause cervical cancer in women. Now, cervical cancer is the fourth most common cancer. Fourth most common cancer. Can this be asked in the prelims? Yes, sometimes. When such big initiatives, laudable initiatives are being taken by the government, then yes. Okay, cervical cancer Mukt Bharat is the name of the umbrella program under which this initiative is being taken to train 50,000 physicians in tier 2, 3, and 4 cities. Effective primary vaccination. Primary vaccination is HPV, and secondary prevention approaches: screening. More cases of more instances of screening in the hospital. Whenever some doubt arises in the mind of the doctor, so then this can be practiced. Okay, so this is there. Now moving to the other news article. What is HPV vaccine? HPV vaccine is a series of shots. It is not a one-time affair. Like in the COVID, we had to take 2 shots of COVID vaccine, right? Shot 1, shot 2. This is similar here. Series of shots that can protect a woman from HPV. It prevents HPV vaccine that can progress to cancer or genital warts. HPV vaccination is more efficacious if given between the age group of 9 to 26 years, and more effective when given in the age group of 9 to 14 years, right? Once a person gets HPV, the vaccine may not be as effective. HPV vaccine is not given during pregnancy. It is not to be given during pregnancy. Basic details sometimes end us up in a wrong territory. We end up marking the question wrong, and hence the negative marking. Very small piece of news article. 8th Pay Commission. My analysis will also follow. Just give me 1 minute. See, every time a pay commission at the central level is appointed, state governments have to follow in the footsteps of the center. Though it is not legally required on the part of the state governments to ditto copy the report of the Central Pay Commission. For central government employees, we get Central Pay Commission every 10 years on the basis of whose report the government employees, railway, etc. Okay, the central government employees, basically the IAS officers, central secretariat service officers, the ones who are employed in the PSUs, they get an increment, they get an increase in their salary, government employees. For state government, state pay commissions are appointed every 10 years. Even though the commissions are appointed, but their reports are not binding on the government, because it involves a huge burden on the exchequer, it involves a huge outflow of the money, right? So that is why the governments tend to postpone the implementation of pay commission reports. If anybody's parents are working in the government, they would be knowing what I'm saying. Because of the huge burden on the exchequer government fund, these reports are even though brought about, but they are delayed by 2, 3, 4, 5 years, leading to non-implementation. Okay, they pay commissions, they revise the pay scales also. They also tell us about, sometimes they recommend the government about how to bring about efficiency. Okay, efficiency in the functioning of the government. What else do they do? Sometimes earlier there was a classification of employees on the basis of class 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now this kind of a classification, which sounds like Varna system, Brahmin, that kind of a classification, right? This has now been abolished. It has now been replaced by Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D. Though derogatory, but still better than class 1, 2, 3, 4. Class 4 employee. He is a class 4 employee. Sounds derogatory to a person. Okay, so that is why these kind of measures are also suggested by the pay commission. You should be knowing what all the pay commission does. That is why I'm telling you these things. Yes, these kind of decisions are taken by Union Cabinet. Okay, who takes these kind of decisions? Union Cabinet. Headed by Union Cabinet meeting, these decisions are taken, headed by the Prime Minister. Okay, all the meetings of the Union Cabinet are chaired by Prime Minister. We should be knowing this. Now you've understood Central Pay Commission. What all measures can it go into? Is it legally required to go into? No. This is just because of revision in the pay scales. It is but obvious that it should go into the measures for the efficiency in government, working hours, etc., etc. Got it? Classification of employees. How much should be the salary of an IAS officer? Starting salary. How much should be the salary after 10 years? Likewise, when the IAS officer is promoted to super scale, senior scale, senior super scale, scaling of employees, increase in the salary of employees at every promotion. This kind of things are taken care of by the pay commission. Now, pay commission is a body set up by central government. For central pay commission we are talking about. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is, when central pay commission, in center a different political party is in power, right? At the state level, a different chief minister or political party might be in power. So when the central pay commission comes up with the rosy increase in the government employees salary, with a very high increase. It puts the pressure on the federal units, the state governments also, to increase the salary commensurately or better than the central government sometimes. If not better, then at least at par with the salary hike given by the Central Pay Commission. Central government appoints the pay commission for its own employees. State governments appoint the pay commission for their own employees, for the employees working in the jurisdiction of the state government. Be it a bus driver of the state, let's say Punjab State, Punjab Road Transport Corporation, Uttar Pradesh Road Transport Corporation, from driver right up to the IAS officer, right up to the senior most functionary, government functionary, employee working in this, right? Now, are the salaries of MLAs and MPs determined by pay commission, central pay commission? Please answer. Are the salaries of the legislators determined by the pay commission? Quickly answer. Many of you are attentive. Live stream is also working real time. I need real time answers for this. No, salaries for the increase in the salaries of MPs and MLAs, we have a separate procedure. Right? We parliamentarians can increase their own salary. MPs and MLAs, the Parliament of the India increases the salary of MPs, members of Parliament, and the state legislative assemblies can increase the salaries of the respective MLAs who are elected to that state legislative assembly. For example, Punjab Legislative Assembly has got 117 MLAs. For those 117 MLAs, the salary would be decided by the state legislative assembly of Punjab, right? So these pay commissions cover only the government employees. Now, what I am trying to tell you is because of competitive politics, let's say in Odisha, if Biju Janata Dal is in power, regional political party, and at the central level, if BJP is there, if BJP gives 10% increase through the pay commission report, then Biju Janata Dal, regional political party in Odisha, will also be under pressure to give 10% hike. Otherwise, the central government employees might not vote for regional political party Biju Janata Dal. This is the problem that many state governments they highlight, that because of the quantum jump given by the central pay commission, sometimes the state pay commissions, the state governments have also to reciprocate. They are also to copy the efforts or the report of the central pay commission, which sometimes casts a heavy toll on the finances of the state government. Okay. Clear, guys? So this is it. Now, ISRO docks SpaDeX satellite in space. SpaDeX satellite, we have been reading about it. A bit more details. So you should awaken your curiosity, be curious to know more details, and pick up your pen or pencil. Indian Space Research Organization docked 2 satellites in space, demonstrating a capability that is critical to executing the upcoming missions like Chandrayaan 4, like Bharat Antariksh Station. Because these complex projects like Bharat Antariksh Station or Chandrayaan 4, they are multi-stage missions. They cannot be completed in one go. Okay, building a space station, it's like one truck is coming with sand, another truck is coming with bricks, another truck is coming with cement. Similarly, a lot of equipment needs to be transported to space in order for India to complete its ambitious project of Bharat Antariksh Station. When is it supposed to be completed? The target date is 2035, right? So that is why we need to have this docking capability where one target satellite is going to be docked by or is going to be linked with chaser. Target is to be chased, so we need a target and chaser. Target is UPSC in our case. Here the target is the satellite. Target chaser nomenclature or this kind of a name has been used. As I told you, these names are important. Okay. though it is very simple, but in case of Chandrayaan 2, sometimes this kind of a nomenclature was there. Rover, lander. Okay, lander is the craft that is going to land on the moon, and rover is that is going to do the recce of the moon surface. The rover is going to collect the samples of soil, of soil to check whether, to investigate whether there is elements, whether there are elements of moisture on the soil, in the soil of moon, soil samples collected from moon. Okay, what all minerals are there. So that question was asked by UPSC when Chandrayaan was in news. Now here we are talking about docking. So target, chaser, you should be knowing. Okay, with the successful docking of the two satellites, chaser and target, as a part of the space docking experiment. What is the full form of SpaDeX? Space docking experiment. India has become the fourth country after US, Russia, and China. Okay, to accomplish this. Now, SpaDeX mission consisted of two relatively small, very small spacecraft because it was our nascent experiment. It was the very first experiment, so we did not take bigger risk. Okay, but even though they were small, their weight was about 220 kg, each weighing 220 kg, that were launched together into the space. They were injected with slightly different force they were injected with. Okay, to allow them to attain a separation of about 20 kilometer while keeping them in the same orbit. Were they kept in the same orbit? Yes, around Earth, about 470 kilometer from the surface. Okay, 220 kg, 20 kilometers, and then 470 kilometers from the surface. What is docking? Docking is a process by which two fast moving objects or two fast moving spacecrafts are brought together to the same orbit. To the same orbit is essential, brought closer to each other manually or autonomously, and finally joined together. Can they be brought together manually or autonomously? Yes. Russia did it autonomously, US did it manually. Okay, manually, Russia autonomously. We have done it autonomously, you can say, right? Now, SpaDeX mission for explanation. Now, see this, these two satellites are coming closer together, closer to each other, and then leading to docking. Okay, so now, importance of docking, it is necessary for carrying out missions that require heavy spacecraft that a single launch vehicle may not be capable of. Single launch vehicle, because of the resistance, because of maneuvering capability, because of the constraints imposed upon us by the gravity, we cannot lift all the weight required to build a the Bharat Antariksh Station all in one go. That may not be possible. So that is why what we need is, in bits and pieces, we will take the stuff upwards in the space. So for that to happen, docking technology needs to be mastered over. The capabilities needed not only for setting up a space station, for which separate modules are joined in space. Different modules will be there. Like in your UPSC preparation, you have polity module, geography module, history module. Similarly, different technological modules will be there to build a space station upwards, right? In space. So why has India carried out its docking mission? Docking is needed to realize ISRO's vision of setting up Bharat Antariksh Station, which will be built by bringing together 5 modules. Bharat Antariksh Station, 5 modules. Details are important, sir. Okay. I will incorporate some more details when the front line of this month comes, or by going through other journals and newspapers. So you don't have to worry about the details. All you have to worry about is attempting the questions given to you in the course of our news analysis daily. Gradually, we will increase the number of questions provided you are attempting them. Okay, these days I'm running a little busy because of the mock interviews, etc. Okay, once I'm a little freed up, little eased up, I'll be incorporating some other interesting things, model answer to your questions on this in this DNA itself, and case studies also you have been asking for. Those things will be taken care of in coming days. So docking is needed. This is there, 5 modules in space. Docking capability will also be required for Chandrayaan 4. Why it will be required? Because this Chandrayaan 4 aims to bring back samples from the moon. it will set 5 key modules being sent into orbit in 2 separate launches. Chandrayaan 4, 5 modules, 2 separate launches will be sent through. These 5 modules related to Chandrayaan 4 will be sent through 4 module, the 2 separate launches, 5 modules. Okay. Now, what happened during the docking experiment? ISRO carried out a series of maneuvers to progressively bring the SDX-01. SDX-01 is chaser. Satellite close to SDX-02, the target. The satellites were allowed to drift close to each other, and then their positions were held at around 5 kilometer, 1.5 kilometer, 500 meters, then 225 meters, then 15, and then 3 meters before finally being joined together. Once they reach 5 kilometers, they will further lower the speed. ISRO will lower down the speed so as to avoid any kind of collision. Okay, misdirection. Once they reach 1.5 kilometers, they further lowered the speed. These are the milestones. At each milestone, ISRO would be lowering the speed in a gradual manner so as to avoid any mishappening, failure of the mission. What will be the next step? Now, this is interesting. In the coming days, it will demonstrate the sharing of electrical power between the two. As we saw that this kind of docking is important for refueling, repair, maintenance, servicing. For example, if our astronauts are up above, okay, in the, let's say, this space, so they need food, water, or something. Okay, so another satellite that is going to go there, what is it going to do? It is going to replenish the water requirement or oxygen requirement by docking into the target satellite. Got it? So this kind of docking exercise was very important. You can imagine the importance and imagine the success by the virtue of the fact that we are the fourth country in the world to do this. There are countries like France, Russia, UK, Germany, they haven't been able to master this. So, this is the achievement. Now, once that is complete, ISRO will demonstrate undocking, during which the satellites will separate and drift away to carry out their respective experiments over the 2 years. Will satellites be still there in the space? Yes, for another 2 years to carry out their respective experiments. Right? Bharatiya docking system. India used this Bharatiya docking system for conducting this experiment. Several types of docking mechanisms. Now, first understand the background. What all types of docking mechanisms are there, guys? Okay, this is the background part of it. Several type of docking mechanisms have been used by space agencies over the years. US, for example, used a docking system where 24 satellites were there. India conducted with just two. Okay, I'm going to take you through these lines. Spacecraft that go to the International Space Station follow the International Docking System Standard, which was first baselined in 2010. Okay, which was first standardized in 2010, International Docking System Standard. Okay, so docking mechanisms being used by India is androgynous. What do we mean by androgynous? Please take a note of this term, androgynous, meaning the systems on both chaser and target satellites are identical, not similar, identical, ditto, the same. Okay, this is similar to IDSS used by other agencies, but uses two motors as compared to 24 used in IDSS. IDSS, this International Docking System Standard, uses 24 motors. Indian one, Target Chaser, it used two motors. Okay, so these are very small details, but they might be of use when it comes to prelims. Take a note of these details and we'll move further. Vaishnavi, more MCQs will be added soon as I explained you the reason. Docking in other countries, why did the first space docking, when did the first space docking happen? With the space race as it is going on now, it was essential for the United States to demonstrate rendezvous. What is rendezvous here in the space terminology? Bringing spacecraft close to each other. Okay, and docking to achieve the objective of sending humans to the moon. So space race when it started between Russia and USA, erstwhile USSR and US. Space race was going on. Neil Armstrong and that time. Okay. In 1966, Gemini 8 spacecraft became the first one from the US, first to dock with Agena target vehicle. Gemini Chaser, target is Agena. It was a crewed mission. It was a manned mission orbiting the Earth from the country the United States. Okay. Interestingly, one of the astronauts on board was Neil Armstrong, who went on to become the first person to set foot on moon in 1969. While the US mission had astronauts on board to steer the spacecraft, the then Soviet Union did not have any human being on board the mission, right? So this is while the US mission had astronauts on board to steer the spacecraft, the then Soviet Union in 1967, 1966, United States, okay, Gemini 8. This is what we have written. Docked with Agena. This is how your notes are supposed to be made. Okay. 1967 USSR, they had a mission docking of Cosmos 186 with Cosmos 1. Okay. This was unmanned. This was manned mission. This one was unmanned. When you ask me, are notes going to be made in the long format or short format? This is the answer. This is how you are supposed to make notes. Naming and just writing the names of the countries or the institution. Now, economy news article, interesting one. I always say when it comes to economics, a tip of the day, whenever you are studying economics, what are you supposed to study? Anything in the news, anything in the news that is conceptual, herein comes the concept. Concept as to what happens when the rupee falls, when the rupee is depreciating vis-a-vis dollar, what is going to happen? Then anything that is relational, impact of crude oil prices on inflation in India. What if crude oil prices increase, and what will be the impact of that on inflation in India, imported inflation, etc. Okay, then anything that is conceptual will stay with you. Relational, I've already told you, right? So this is how you need to make notes. Anything that is analytical. Analytical means you are going to analyze the phenomena, account for or discuss the impact of full rupee convertibility, full capital account convertibility of rupee, full capital account convertibility of rupee, analyze the impact of it. Analyze the impact of LPG reforms brought about in the past, 1991, right? So anything that is conceptual, relational, analytical. Factual is National Payments Corporation of India. Anything that is factual that could be covered at last. Factual part is very difficult because we are having facts all over. What to mug up, what to ignore, what to read, what to memorize, how much to memorize. There are limits to our capacity. So first three are your friends when it comes to topics like economics, the subjects like economics. Okay. So in polity, you see polity is laden more with facts, understanding, right? Analysis. History is full of facts. So, depending upon your core capability, depending upon your strength, if you are somebody who's good in memorizing facts, go for make history, art and culture as your strength. If you are somebody who's good at conceptual part, make economics as your strength, right? If you are somebody who's having conceptual and analytical power, make economy and Indian polity the main part I'm talking about. Make polity and Indian economy as your favorite subjects, right? Now, impact of weakening of rupee. Rupee weakening means, what do we mean by weakening of rupee? First of all, rupee weakening means that Just a minute. Weakening of rupee means that we have to, earlier we were paying, let's say, just a minute, guys. Earlier we were paying rupees 84 for $1, right? Now we are going to pay rupees 86 for every single dollar. Before, after. I'll be taking a few economic sessions on the economic survey, budget, etc. So that will help you gain command over these concepts. Okay. Before, after, rupees 84. Now we have to shell out more rupees for every single dollar. As we are an import led country, don't you think that more of our rupees are going out? Rupees are going to be more in number now. Hai na? That is why the value of rupees depreciating, further depreciating, because every single barrel of crude oil that we are going to import after the fall in the rupee is going to further lead to liquidity of rupee in the market. है ना? So once set in motion, the fall in the currency is a slippery slope, very, very slippery. Once you end up taking the wrong step, you go on slipping on it. There is no reason, there is no point where you can stop unless, of course, you take some steps. RBI takes some steps to curtail, to curb the phenomena of rupees fall. Right? Now, what is the benefit of, positive side of rupees depreciation? If a country is export led, we are not, India is not an export led country. Exporters, for example, if I am making Xiaomi mobile phones in India, okay, if I am manufacturing Xiaomi mobile phones in India, whatever small phone, okay, so earlier I was selling it for 8,400 rupees in India. I was getting $100. Is it the red text visible? Yes, it is visible. Earlier. Now, after the rupees value increased, I am selling it for $100 only. But when I go to my banker with $100 and tell him to convert it into rupees, he tells that to your HDFC bank, $8,600 have been credited. I ask him why. I have sold only one phone. Last week I was getting 8,400 rupees. Why have you credited additional 200 rupees? He tells me that it is none of your achievements. It is not my achievement. I haven't done anything good with the Xiaomi mobile phone. Same old phone, but because of the depreciation in the value of rupee, exporters will get to earn more. Is this concept clear to everybody? Rohan, I'm going to take an Ask Me Anything session in the coming days. Now that I'll tell you a good news for you guys also. We will be hitting the stream on time in the coming 2-3 days. Let me be a little free from the interview and technical glitches that are coming here. This new studio has been installed at my home. So we will be starting it on time, and this will give me more flexibility to come live in the night, in the evening time also, late in the evening, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., coming Saturday, Ask Me Anything session. There, I will answer all your doubts. Don't worry. We are going to come up with a session on budget also in the coming days. So this is there. Now, the Indian rupee recently registered a sharp devaluation with respect to dollar after remaining stable for over 2 years. Okay, it is good for the export-led country. Why? That is why China artificially depreciates its currency, devalues its currency. What is the difference between devaluation and depreciation? Devaluation is when a country deliberately, China deliberately is reducing the value of its currency yuan so as to benefit the exporters, because China is an export led country. On the contrary, in India's case, imports are more than, value of imports is more than the value of items exported out of India. That is why depreciation or devaluation of rupee does more harm to India than good. to India. Got it? Now, positive impact, weaker rupee should theoretically give a boost to the Indian exports. Boost to the Indian exports. Because an environment of but in an environment of uncertainty and weak global demand, this is not going to happen. If there is uncertainty, what Donald Trump is going to do? What will be his policy actions? Will I, as the owner of Gioni mobile phone, will I be taking a decision to increase my production in such uncertain times that let me manufacture 10,000 more mobile phones because I'm going to get 200 additional profit? No, maybe I will take this decision. This decision will take another 3 to 6 months to get executed. To actually manufacture 10,000 additional phones, I will take 3 months. But in those 3 months, Donald Trump's uncertain policy might lead me into losses. Okay, stable environment, stable currency is what is needed. Stable global environment is what is needed. Okay, we are seeing Gaza peace, that is good. Israel Palestine deal that has happened to have a ceasefire in Gaza. So that is a good thing for global peace. But Donald Trump, he is coming to come into power on 20th of January. A lot of uncertainty prevails. Now, however, a fall in the external value of rupee may not translate into a higher exports. All right, this is also to be seen. Value of rupee is falling externally. Okay, in the international market, outside, in for the US, for the UK, in the international market, that may not translate into higher profit for exporters in India. Got it? Weaker rupee, negative impact. It poses the risk of imported inflation. What is imported inflation? We were importing crude oil for 84 rupees per barrel. Barrel of crude oil. Now that $84, sorry, dollar. Okay, now that $84 is 86 rupees to 86 rupees we have to pay for every dollar. Let's say it was 84 rupees. Now we have to pay 86 rupees. This 86 rupees is going to feed into my inflation. Imagine this to be a lorry carrying subsidies, vegetables. Okay, now these vegetables, transportation will become costlier. Now the transporter will ask for additional 2 rupees, or because the petrol price has increased for him, diesel price has increased for him, because petrol cost has increased. As we import petrol from UAE, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, the petrol price has increased and it will feed into the mehengai, inflation in the domestic territory. Another problem. Anything that is transported by vehicle, train, or something that uses diesel, electricity, etc., which is produced from imported petrol or diesel, that price of that commodity is going to increase. Now, it may make it difficult for central bank to maintain interest rates at record low for a longer period. Why? Weakening of rupee will make it difficult for RBI to maintain the lower rate of interest. See, this is what is going to happen in the international arena. Price of oil will increase for India. In the domestic arena, inflation will increase. To not allow the inflation to increase freely, RBI will increase the rate of interest. RBI will increase the rate of interest for HDFC, SBI, etc. And these banks will lend to people at a higher rate of interest, so as to reduce the supply of money. Whenever imported inflation is increasing, imported inflation is happening in the country, RBI will take some actions in the domestic territory of India to not allow the inflation to go on increasing and increasing. Right? Now, third, it meets more than 2/3 of its domestic oil requirement through this thing. So these things are there. Now, nominal exchange rate, this factual part, the basic part, we will deal in some other class. Basic economics. I am assuring you that we will cover this also on some or the other day in some or the other class. I'm going to take a lot of classes on this channel. So rest assured, we will be getting to see the explanation of this in the coming days. Exchange rate, regime, etc. Download the PDF from the channel Jatin Verma Sir PWIAS. the link for which will be shared in the description box of this video. Okay, PWIAS. Though I should not be writing sir for my own self, but just to enable you to search for the name, PW only IAS is the name of the channel, right? Now, India's variant of managed float exchange rate. Read all these things yourself. Coming to the other news article, Congress moves Supreme Court to defend Places of Worship Act. What is Places of Worship Act? Try and understand. After the Babri Masjid was brought down, there was a lot of mayhem, there was a lot of fury amongst the minority community people. That why the religious places that were built during the Mughal era, why the mosques, masjids that were built during the Mughal era are being brought down. Or are Hindus, being the majority, going to demolish all such Muslim places of worship act? Muslim places of worship. So that is why in that year an act was passed saying that there will be a status quo, there will be no change in the status of any religious institution as it existed in 1947. Hindus would say that, Hindus used to say, Hindus were rightfully or wrongfully, I'm not going into that. That is a debatable topic left to politicians. What we are studying here is Hindus would say that Akbar had brought down a lot of Hindu temples and constructed mosques in their place. Okay, now they want to say that we want to undo this injustice. Hindus would say that we want to remedy this situation, we want to demolish these mosques and erect temples in their place, construct temples in their place. That is why this Places of Worship Act was brought about, so as to have the status quo that no religious institution whatsoever existed as on 1947 would be allowed to be changed, would be allowed to be demolished or brought down. Courts would not entertain any case alleging that there used to be a Hindu temple in its place, a mosque was constructed, so therefore court should allow the Hindus to demolish that mosque and construct a Hindu temple in its place. No petition whatsoever will be entertained by any court in India as per 19 Places of Worship Act 1991 Act to change the status of any religious institution as it existed on 1947. Even though earlier it used to be a temple, later on the temple was demolished for conversion of Hindus into Muslims or conversion of population of this country into Islamic population, changing the religious color. Though that was a practice during Mughal era or not, that is something. But Supreme Court and district courts were flooded with these kind of petitions earlier. That see, there used to be a temple, now there is a masjid. We want the temple to be brought back. Right? So that is why 1991 Act was passed because of Babri Masjid incident. Okay. Now, Indian National Congress has filed a petition in the Supreme Court and said that the act reflected the mandate of Indian population and it preserves the character of religious places. This act seeks to preserve the character of religious places as they existed on the date of independence of India, when India attained independence, right? Because we are a secular country, so we should not be allowing such kind of petitions. But Hindus are also right. Hindus say that earlier there used to exist our temple, right? Sikhs are also right. They say that earlier there used to exist a Gurdwara, which was demolished by some Mughal leader. Okay, what is the Places of Worship Act? The Places of Worship Act 1991 preserves the status quo of religious sites as of 15th August, barring any change in their nature. It applies to all the religious places except Ram Mandir across India, except the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid dispute, which was explicitly excluded from the purview of this 1991 Act. The rest of it is something you can read on your own. Okay, nothing much in this. Now coming to this part, guys, the latecomers, I see an addition of 10-15 people. This DNA starting at around 8 a.m., it gives you an opportunity to align your routine. Don't you think that getting up 1 hour early It gives you an kind of positive energy that you are able to wind up one important task of the day, right? So take it this way. Your newspaper thing is taken care of right in the morning itself. 1 hour and you are done with the important academic task of the day, and then you start with a positive energy with your daily targets. This is my humble suggestion to you. Key provisions of the Act, please read them, very, very theoretical. Now, let's cover the other important news article, and news of passage only, factual news only. Battlefield tourism is the new addition to the tourism. People want to visit the martyr sites where martyrs have died, they have sacrificed their precious lives, and Jallianwala Bagh, from Jallianwala Bagh to Wagah border to Kargil sites, the sites of the site where the people, the army men, the warriors of India have been buried, right? So, Defense Minister unveiled the Bharat Ran Bhumi Darshan app. When we say anything, Ram comes. Anyways, Ran Bhumi Darshan app on January 15, 2025 during the 77th Army Day. Army Day is celebrated on 15th of January. The app opens the doors to India's most iconic battlefields, offering citizens a chance to explore the country's wartime history like never before. We used to struggle. I mean, until a few years ago, anybody who would want to see the sites of this battlefield, they would have to struggle a lot. Either you have to be an IPS officer or somebody from an IAS, IPS officer connected. You have to be well connected in order to visit these sites. Not anymore. Thanks to this new application being unveiled by the Honorable Minister. Features of the app highlights Rezangla, Bumla Pass, Pangong Su, and Doklam. How are we supposed to study these? In the order of sequence, in the order of their happening, starting from the first one, starting from the latest one to the last one. Okay, cover them 5 a day, where these sites are, what is the historic significance of these sites to India's great history. Yes, you have to cover them briefly. As I said, the latest one is Kargil, etc. You have to study. Offers in-depth historical narratives of 77 battlefield locations. App is still not there on the Google Store, Play Store. It is in the stage of development maybe. I tried to incorporate a screenshot over here so that you can get to see a glimpse, but it was minister all around, all over on the internet. Now, that is the democracy. So, integration of existing war memorials in tourism circuit. Dras War Memorial, Kargil War. Okay. Walong War Memorial, Battle of Walong, 1962. Now, Tawang, likewise, as I said, cover them starting from here and moving backwards. Okay. Dalai Lama Charitable Trust gets FCRA node. What is FCRA node? Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. The organizations which receive donations from foreign countries. Since India has been a victim of something we call as, India has been the victim of phenomena soft state. We have been the target at the hands of international NGOs working in the interest of some other country. Right? That is why whenever some NGO receives any kind of foreign funding, it has to take the approval under Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Foreign contribution. Name is obviously telling you, I mean, it's very clear through the name itself. Now, this act is implemented and administered by Ministry of Home Affairs. Every year, renewal is required. Any NGO, any charitable trust, be it Dalai Lama Trust or be it any other trust, be it political party, they have to renew their permission under the FCRA. What is the permission for? Permission whether they can get foreign funding or not. Why? Because if I am running a coaching institute, for example, if I am running this institute, XYZ, if I am getting foreign funds, but through that foreign fund, I am working in a manner which is malicious for India, which is prejudicial to India's interests, which is not in the right interest of India as a country. I'm instigating people to wage protests against Kudankulam nuclear reactor. Some of the NGOs in the past, like Greenpeace International, Amnesty International, they have sought foreign funding in India from the US, and they started acting in a manner which was not in the best interest of India. They started protests, they gave money to the people near Kudankulam reactor which was constructed by a Russian company. So US did not want the Russian nuclear power plant in India to start before the US plant is constructed. Okay, so this is going to impede India's growth. 1000 kilowatt power plant is not functioning despite it having been constructed. That is why the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act envisages or it mandates that every NGO, every charitable trust, every organization which is seeking or which is getting any funds, it should get the funds in the designated single foreign designated bank account, where, in the SBI only. Bank account has to be opened with the Parliament Street SBI branch only, so that Government of India can keep a check. Aadhaar card of all those managing that NGO in India is mandatory. Okay. Remember, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act is not administered by Ministry of Finance, as it seems to be the case prima facie because of foreign contribution, money connotation to it, finance. No, despite the finance connotation to it, it is having more of the security connotation to it. That is why Ministry of Home Affairs. So that is all in the today's news analysis, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. These are your MCQs. Please attempt all the MCQs that have been asked in the news analysis. Okay. So second MCQ, this is there. Then this is the third one for the day. From tomorrow onwards, we'll incorporate 5 to 7 MCQs. That's all. Download the PDF from the Telegram channel, the link of which will be posted below this news analysis video. It was really a pleasure teaching you guys. I'm looking forward to taking some more sessions to enable you out of my experience of UPSC Civil Services exam. Have been teaching for 8 to 10 years now, public administration, polity and governance, current affairs, economy. So these videos related to all these topics, answer writing, how to make notes out of current affairs, I'm going to take in the coming days. Rest assured, have a good day. Plan your day well in order to sleep well in the night if you are a genuine 24 carat UPSC aspirant. Thank you. Bye bye, guys.